Hi, my name is Lisa Ellis, and today I'd like to show you how to weave Tiffany. Tiffany is part of the elf weave family. Here's Tiffany on the left, elf sheet, elf weave with spinal elf stabilization. I've done two other videos demonstrating elf weave with spinal elf stabilization and elf sheet, and now we're going to talk about Tiffany. Let's establish some terminology that I'm using. You can see in elf weave down the center of these black rings, there's a double row of them and they're staggered, and I call those flats. These wings that are making these rings that are making these V's, I call wings. With spinal elf stabilization, I've simply added these extra rings along the edge that helps hold the elf weave flat. But the terms I'll be using is flats. Here in this elf sheet, the blue rings are the flats, the pink rings are the wings. Flats and wings. Now, what is the difference between elf sheet and Tiffany? Well, in elf sheet, the flats, or the blue rings, lie side by side. They don't touch. Where in Tiffany, the flats are the red rings and they interlock. Tiffany, because of the added texture, has an even richer look. I really like Tiffany a lot. So let's talk about ring size. I've got two examples here of two different aspect ratios. The one on the right is my preferred aspect ratio. This one is a 4.23. I used 18 SWG rings with a 13/64 inner diameter. These are 18 SWG 7/32 inner diameter with an aspect ratio of about 4.57. So aspect ratio 4.23 on the right, 4.57 on the left. I just prefer the one on the right because it's more compact, yet still very flexible and fluid. I just like that tighter look better, but these rings will be very hard to find commercially. Now, if you're making your own rings, or you find a supplier I haven't found, or you're working in a different metal, a different wire diameter measuring system, look for those 4.25 aspect ratio. I think you'll like it a lot. But if you can't find that, this is just fine. Like I said, these are 18 SWG rings with a 7/32 inner diameter. Very pretty. Like I said, the flat rings are interlocking. The wings are making a very dramatic, what do you call that? A zigzag pattern. It's very nice. I really like it. So let's get started. Like with elf sheet, you need to start off with 2 rows of elf weave, and they're going to look a mess, especially with the increased aspect ratio that you need for Tiffany. So tap them out on the table so you can get a look at them. I'm just flattening the rings into place so I can get a better look at it. Now, if I look, I'm trying to figure out which end is my working end and which end is the start, where I started making the elf weave. That's my dog Harley. There must be a neighbor dog out. These V's will always point towards the working end. Okay? The V's always point towards the working end. We want to leave that end free because you may have to add on to the piece, because the elf weave strands will contract as you join them together. So keeping your working end free gives you that freedom. So this is the start of the chain, and I've taped it to splay the wings wide. This just gives it some stabilization while I'm starting to join the two pieces. So I've established my base, or starting end. I did the same on this one. The V's are pointing away, So this is my working end, leave that free. And this is the start where I started making that elf weave. So we take those two starting ends and lay them next to each other. Let me pick up my pliers. Lay them out so they're the same, so they're on the same repetition. Here you'll see that the red ring, the flat, is going over the top of the two gold ones, and the same here. The flat is going over the top of the two yellows. So let's add that first ring. Tiffany is a lot of fun, and I think you'll be surprised how much easier it is than I bet you thought it was. So let's take a look at this. Where am I going to put this ring? For elf sheet, we would be going through a wing where those two rings overlap. We would be going through there, and then the same on this side. For Tiffany, different. All we're doing is picking up a flat, then the wing, then the opposite wing, opposite flat. So going through the flat and the wing, and then I'm going to try to grab the other side without dropping it. Let it rotate. I picked up the wing, and I'm going to pick up that flat. Okay. So there's that first ring. Give it the eyeball test. Yeah, it's going through the flat, the wing, the flat. So we'll turn it over. We want to work going side to side because it's just easier to get your rings in. We also want to keep the base pointed at us and push the rings away from us, because you'll have more room for your pliers to maneuver than if you did it from the other direction. So let's look at this again. It's going to want to jumble up in your hand. Don't worry about it. Okay, so here's flat, the wing, the opposite wing, the opposite flat. Picked up the flat and the wing. I'm going to let it rotate. Pick up the wing and the flat. And you'll find when you're making Tiffany, these rings want to go home. It always surprises me. I think I have to think the process through, but before I know it, the ring is where it belongs, hardly without even thinking about it. Okay, so now we're putting in the second ring on this side, flattening these puppies out. Okay. This flat ring is occupied, so we're going to go to the next one, pick up that flat, go through the wing, go through the opposite wing, and grab the flat. Okay, that flat's occupied, so go for this one. Go through the wing, let it rotate. Go through the wing and the flat. See what I said about how they just like the rings fall onto your ring? You might not believe me on that at first, but once you've put in a few, you'll see that it's true. Okay. So we went through the flat, the wing, and the flat. turn it over. And we just keep repeating this same maneuver. Just flatten these two sides out so you can see where you're doing better. Okay, this flat's occupied. So we're grabbing that flat, this wing, and that flat. Flat, wing, wing, flat. Let's do that again. This flat is occupied. So we're going flat, wing, wing, flat. Okay, flat, wing, wing, flat. And we're just going to keep repeating that till we get to the length you want. Like I said, it contracts up a lot. I would start out making your elf weaves maybe an inch longer than you think you want your bracelet to be, but you'll probably end up adding to that. But because we've left the ends free, the working ends free, we can easily add. So let me take a look. Let's backtrack and finish out the start. Okay, if you look, this might be hard to show. As soon as I take the tapes off, the rings will pop everywhere, so it'll be hard for me to show. But let's do it. Okay, we don't have a flat on this side, so we have to put in a half stitch. So here we're just grabbing the wings. See? So this side is complete. Now let's check the other side. It also is complete. Is it? No, it is not. I need one more ring on this side. Okay, the flat, the wing, the wing, and the flat. Focus. There we go. Now it's all evened out. I could take these tapes off without fear. Doesn't look like it, but it's even. Let me see if I can tap it out. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, so everything's all lined up where it belongs. So now I'll just continue like I was doing before. The last ring I put in was on this side, so I'll flip it over. Okay, this flat is occupied. So advance, wing, wing, flat. Okay, advance, wing, wing, flat. There we go. That's it. That's Tiffany. That's how we make it. You're really going to like this weave. Let me show you how I put on a clasp. For a 2 elf weave strand Tiffany, I use a 3-hole bar clasp. You can see I'm going through the flat in the middle and then grabbing, here, let me show you from the other side. And then grabbing 2 wings. It's just the best way I could think of to clasp it. See, like that. for a 3 elf weave wide Tiffany. You can see I went through 3 flats for the center and then grabbed a wing on either edge. That seems to work pretty well. Now let me show you the last thing that I really love about Tiffany. Because it's such a dense, compact weave, you can totally play with your color. It's totally reversible. How did I get that effect? Really easily. When I was making my elf weaves, my strips, for this bracelet, I used red for my flats on side A and black for my flats on side B. When I put them together, I connected them with red rings on this side black rings here. It's just really fun. I'm losing my train of thought. Here I was playing with the wings. Here when I was making this elf weave strip, I used red rings for wings on one side and orange wings for rings on the other side, on side B. And I used gold for my flats and black for my flats on the flip side. So it's really fun. It gives you a lot of versatility. So that is my tutorial. I hope it was helpful. You're really going to enjoy making this, I think. It's really fun. It's really not difficult at all. So thank you for your time today. I have a shop on Etsy if you'd like to contact me. I'd love to hear your comments, suggestions. I'd love to see your projects. Send me a message or leave me a message here. Have a glorious day and happy weaving. Bye-bye.